Hi, this is David, and I wanted to do a video on genealogy. Genealogy. Now, genealogy to the Mormons is like it's life's blood. Now, I haven't heard as much about it in these last 10 years as I did before. With 50 years of being in the Mormon Church, we were hammered on many things every Sunday. But one of them was genealogy, and when I was young, probably in my 30s, I believed that the prophet was telling me the truth, and I started to do my genealogy. Well, back in those days, they couldn't get anybody to do genealogy because there wasn't a computer. There wasn't computers, and trying to trace your ancestors without a computer is like running through graveyards. Which they did. You know, they had pieces of paper that they put on the tombstones, and they put a marking over the top of it so it would say Jim Smith died 1842, and that was proof that he was dead. Well, now we have census on computers and other kinds of genealogical availability of information. Well, I started my genealogy, and I quit. Now here's the problem with genealogy and the Mormon Church. If you're white and you're Aryan, and of course my name, oh, I shouldn't tell you this, but it has to do with a certain country. So I can trace my ancestry back through Europe and all through, you know, the caveman, Neanderthals, and finally to Adam. So that's okay for the white Aryan race. But what if you're black and you join the Mormon Church and they want your genealogical records turned in? Well, what are you going to go back? 3 generations? It's going to be slavery. And then after that, there's no record. People were bought and sold. It's a terrible feeling. I'm not even black. And I think it would be a terrible feeling to be forced or severely intimidated in the Mormon Church to trace my genealogy. Well, that's one problem for the black people. I had another problem as the white people. What happened to me was the situation was I sat down and was tracing, and my father had done some genealogy, and I was able to bounce off of that. And actually in those days, we had the genealogical library up in Salt Lake City that had the microfiche they called it, and it was a little tiny thing like this, and you put it inside of a magnifying unit, and you could see the history of the things you were looking up. Well, a long story short, I did my genealogy, and I came back to a very proud circumstance. I'm related to what is his name? Shaw, George. Is it George? It's not George Bassar, the writer. George Bernard Shaw. I'm related to him. Very, very distant relation, as you can tell. I came to a man that was in George Washington's army when our country was starting to found itself, and I thought, my gosh, you know, here's a general or a captain, or he was some kind of an authority. And Washington thought highly of the man and decided to give him a special assignment. Well, this was all in my genealogical record, so I'm going, geez, you know, hey, right. So here's the assignment that he gave my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Mr. Hooker, H-O-O-K-E-R. I don't even have to go any farther. Some of you are so damn smart, you're there. But for those that have the IQ in the single digits, let me tell you what Mr. Hooker did for the George Washington Army. He was to gather prostitutes, hookers, they finally became known, and bring them to the army people that were in the camps and didn't have any access to women. And so I don't know if he got the Congressional Medal of Honor for his service. I bet if the soldiers had to vote who was the most important person, George Washington or David's relative, Hooker, they probably would have gone for Mr. Hooker. So when I discovered that, I said to myself, I don't want to know any more about my relatives. It shows in my current life. No. Well, anyway, genealogy used to be used for the names to go into the temple. All the dead people, you had to confirm the person was dead. They had many different rules, and they changed over the years, and mostly it was old people that were called to be genealogical specialists and presidents. You know, everybody in the Mormon Church is a president or a counselor of something. So the rules have changed a lot with genealogy, but it is still a very important principle in the Mormon Church because they want you to go to the temple. Now, here's the side effect and the byproducts of going to the temple. It's tithing. They don't want you to go to the temple for ordinances or for sealing your family. They want you to keep a current temple regimen, and to do that, you have to be a full tithe payer. It's a cult. It's a cult. It has nothing to do with sealing your family together forever. You know, we have absolutely no authority as human beings or information what is going to happen at death. And whether you're atheist, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, nobody really knows. But the Mormon Church tells its people it knows. So the people, they want to live with their family and their relatives. What normal family member wouldn't want to be? There's some family members I don't want to be with, but anyway, nobody knows. But the Mormon Church keeps saying, go to the temple, well, that means they have to go to the bishop. They have to get a recommend. Get a recommend, they have to pay all of that tithing all year. Well, that money keeps rolling in, and it's clever. It's clever as hell, it really is. So anyway, the genealogical work used to be for names. They called it name submission. You're submitting your relative's name. Well, when I got to Brother Hooker, I didn't submit his name, and I didn't tell anyone. You know, I'm telling 20,000 people right now, but anyway, Brother Hooker was one of my relatives, and I probably missed my calling in life. I have those Hooker genes, but I never used them. Darn. All right, so you're hammered all the time for genealogy. Well, the genealogical library now in Salt Lake City has moved out of the church office building. I think it has its own building, and you can go in there and I haven't been in the new one. But boy, you can hit anything, and at home you can hit anything on a computer. Even the church genealogical library you can link into. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to let you know that if you're black, you may not be interested in doing much genealogy. And if your ancestry are pimps paid by the government, and or they're criminals, murderers, transsexuals, homosexuals, all the evil people of the world, according to the Mormon Church, you may want to turn in a false genealogy report. That's what I'm thinking of doing. I think I want to be related to George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Franklin, and I'm just going to submit their names. How does the church know? How does the church know if those are are they going to check millions or billions of people's genealogy? Well, anyway, if you really enjoy dead people and you really enjoy reading about dead people, and if you think your dead ancestry has anything to do with your skills, your talents, and your abilities, God, go get baptized in the Mormon Church. Go get baptized, because the Mormons believe, generally speaking, that anyone that came across the prairie into the Salt Lake Valley with Brigham Young or other expeditions that came in that were Mormons were what they call it pioneer stock, What that means is that if you don't mind your children starving to death and or exposure and burying them in 17 inches of frozen tundra, and if you don't mind crapping out in the open and peeing, and before the pee hits the ground, it's frozen. And if you don't mind walking 2,000 miles in winter, if you don't mind taking everything you own in a basket to go to a new country, you have no money, you have no skills, you have no house, no roads, and going to a place to start a new life, I guess I'm not pioneer stock. When I go somewhere, I kind of like a credit card in my pocket and a pocket in my pants. I'd kind of like to take a shower or a bath every day, and I'd kind of like my kids to ride in car seats with seatbelts and airbags, and I kind of like to be brushing my teeth. And I'd like to have 3 meals a day, one of them a Big Mac at least. I'm not sons of the pioneers. My grandparents came over, I guess, on a boat, like most immigrants, but I don't want to push a hand cart. I don't find that to be interesting. I don't like to push a Walmart cart. I don't want to push a hand cart up over the Rocky Mountains. Count me out. If I was a Mormon, I'd say, I'm going to Catholic. I'm going to atheist. I ain't pushing no hand cart. So on genealogy, if you have ancestry that walked across the plains, you are up there in the Mormon church. You are up. I think they call them the day. Well, they have a celebration called the Days of 49. That's when the people came into the valley, I guess. And Brigham Young sat up on the wagon. I guess he had malaria or some other kind of a damn disease. And he died of a disease too, his natural death. Some say it was poisoning. Looked like poisoning, but you can't prove it. But anyway, if you have pioneer stock, you can be proud as a Mormon in submitting your first, third, 15th family generation sheet. And there's really no reward in the Mormon church for genealogy other than when they stand up and hassle the crap out of you in elders' quorum or high priest or in the sacrament meeting. When the high councilman comes in and goes, have you done your genealogy? And everybody else in the room falls to the floor and they turn into shit. Just melted shit on the floor because they feel so guilty. That's the cult. That's the cult. They keep hammering you. Well, if you've done your genealogy, you can sit up. Go, I've done it, man. I've done it. I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. But then, they'll find something else that you're not doing. Have you done your home teaching this month? Oh, you go to shit on the floor. 4 or 5 of the shit people sit up. They did their home. So in a cult, there's always guilt. There's always intimidation. There's always perfection. You never can meet the perfection. You always feel guilty. And you're always threatened. And they always take your money. So anyway, if you enjoy genealogy... Which I do. I am so proud that my grandparents there were hookers and that all the girls in the world now are named hookers. Every time I hear the word, I stand up proud because I was a Mormon and I had a grandfather who was the hooker salesman. Thanks.